Hello, my name is Justin, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the importance of preserving toilet paper. Now, a lot of you have started stocking up, the stores are sold out, and the thing you got to know is that toilet paper could go bad if you do not preserve it. So today I'm going to be talking about one method of preserving your toilet paper, and that's through the process of pressure canning. So first, you're going to need some jars. You're going to need a pressure canner. Obviously, you need some toilet paper, some rubbing alcohol, and it's optional, but you could have some essential oils, and we'll get to that later. So to start with, you need a pretty small roll because most jars do not accommodate a full roll of toilet paper. So if you have some used ones, that's a good place to start. Now I'm going to pull off one sheet. We're going to save that for later. So we put that in there. Nice and snug fit. It's good. Now I'm going to take some rubbing alcohol and we're going to put half a teaspoon in. And this is to help sterilize it. When we do the canning process, it's going to atomize that rubbing alcohol and really sterilize this roll of toilet paper. The last thing you want is in the middle of a pandemic, you open up your jar of toilet paper and it's infected. And you wipe yourself and all of a sudden you're sick. That's the last thing we want. So we're going to avoid that by using a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Now the other thing you can do is use a little bit of essential oil. In this case, I'm going to be using lavender essential oil. You want to be careful about which ones you use. If you use something like eucalyptus or peppermint, well, you're going to be feeling it. Peppermint might have a cooling effect. Eucalyptus probably burn you. So just be careful. I'm just going to play it safe and go with some lavender. And all we really need is about one drop. Okay. Now, close that up. Then we've got a lid and a ring. Before I put the lid on, I'm gonna take that sheet of toilet paper we pulled off and we're just gonna clean the rim. We wanna make sure there isn't anything on that rim because it might break the seal and then we'd have to use that toilet paper right away. We couldn't store it on a shelf like we're trying to accomplish. So put that ring on there, or put the lid on and then put the ring on. And it doesn't need to be super tight, just tight enough that it stays on there, and that should be good. So once your jar is prepped with the toilet paper inside, you'll need to get your pressure canner ready. And every pressure canner is different. You need to follow the instructions that came with the pressure canner on how much water you need to fill it up with. Once that's filled up, go ahead and put it on the stove, get it warming up, and then you can take your jars of toilet paper and set them right on in. And then we're going to take the lid and we're going to put it on. Just takes a couple tries here. You need to go this way. There we go. And then lock it on there. And you want to let this boil until you have a steady stream of steam coming out of the port. And once that starts to really go, then we're going to put the weight on it. So we'll go ahead and let that get up to temperature and start boiling, and then we'll do that next. So now that we have a steady stream of steam coming out of the port, it's time for us to put the weight on. So that's going to start building up pressure. And when it gets to 15 psi, we're going to turn down the temperature a little bit and we're just going to try to maintain it to be above 15 psi. If it starts to drop down below 15 psi, we need to reset our timer, and that really makes sure that everything in the jars is sterilized. And so we'll go ahead and let this cook for about 40 minutes, and then we'll check out the results. All right, so this has been cooking for about 40 minutes with the weight on. I've maintained a pressure greater than 15 psi. So right now, I'm just going to turn off the stove, and then I'm going to remove it from the heat. We're going to let that sit, and then naturally, once the little indicator here has popped down, then we can take the weight off and we can open up the pressure canner. All right, we have let the pressure canner vent, and I pulled the weight off once it was done venting, and it's ready to open. So let's take a look. All right, let's remove this jar here. All right, looks good. We're gonna let that cool down, and then we'll check out the results. All right, so now that we've cooked our toilet paper and it's been preserved, let's talk a little bit about shelf storage. So when you pull it out of the pressure canner, you want to take, and it cools down, you want to take this ring off and store it without the ring. The ring helps hold the lid on while it's in the pressure canner, but if you keep that lid on while you store it on the shelf, bacteria can form in the threads of the jar, and that could be dangerous. The other thing is, when it's sealed, it won't pop. The lid, if it's unsealed and the pressure canning didn't work, this lid will pop. You should also be able to carry the entire jar by the lid. If you're unable to carry the jar by the lid, it means you didn't have a successful pressure canning, and you'll want to use that toilet paper right away and not keep it on the shelf. Now, if everything goes well and you're able to get the jar to seal, you should be able to store this toilet paper for a good 100 years, as long as it's kept out of the light and kept at room temperature or lower. Now I'm going to show you what this is like after it's been pressure canned. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this lid open here. Now listen for the pop. That was good. All right, we're going to pull this out. Now the bottom, you can tell, is a little bit moist. Now if it was sitting on a shelf for 100 years, that would not really be the case. It would spread throughout the whole roll. But already I can tell that is a fresh roll of toilet paper. I'm really pleased with the results here. I'm definitely going to be doing this a lot more often with my toilet paper. I think this is a great idea for people to do. It preserves the toilet paper, helps it last a whole lot longer, protects it from humidity, flooding, earthquakes, pandemics, everything. So I highly recommend you give this a try and prepare for the worst. This is Justin. Thank you for watching. Cushy tushy.